This is important, even vital to us to understand from the very beginning, because the beasthood and the adversary knows this. To truly control humanity, you must control all three. The beasthood has evolved its sciences to expertly co-opt and colonize the biopsychic terrain that exists between the doer and the thinker. Now, how do they do this? Microelectronic mechanical systems, MEMS. If you have been following the HAARP and Mazars, the technology, their connection to mind control has been demonstrated. MEMS are micro machines with pumps, regulators, distributors. Micro machines with pumps, regulators, and distributors, releasing certain chemicals into the bloodstream and or to induce certain chemical reactions. Now, on the reverse side, medically, this could be a help. Now, they say medically, this could be a help for people with I say, what? Diabetes. It gives you insulin. Now, with that being implanted in you, signals from the MESA, which has a monochromatic wavelength, can be picked up by the receiver in these chips and then signal to the MEMS devices, which would release certain chemicals in the bloodstream, thus altering the individual's personality. See that beeper? Signals can trigger the MEMS to release chemicals on a microscopic level into your bloodstream to divert and change your thinking patterns. The technology to make these biochips uses X-ray lithographic or X-ray lithographic processes, which has the beginning of the new generation of superchips. Now you got to listen to this very carefully. It's called Silent Sounds and the Supercomputer. Listen very carefully, brothers and sisters, because this devil has learned to manipulate the ether. Now this was written in response to a CIA program, the CIA MEMS program. Now, this mind-altering mechanism is based on a subliminal carrier technology. It's called the Silent Sound Spread Spectrum, or SSSS. It is sometimes called S-Quad, Q-U-A-D, for 4 S's, or SQUAD. It was developed by Dr. Oliver Lowry of Norcross, Georgia. And its function is described in U.S. Patent number 559703, Silent Subliminal Presentation Systems. Silent Subliminal Presentation Systems, dated October 27, 1992. The abstract for the patent reads as follows. Now you listen to the scientific legalese and try to decipher what it is we're seeing. All right? I'm going to read this, and then I know brother wants me to go to a break. You don't have the right.
I hear you, brother.
Check this out. This is your SQUAD system, a silent communication system in which non-oral carriers in a very low or high frequency audio frequency range, or in the adjunct ultrasonic frequency spectrum, are amplitude or frequency modulated with the desired intelligence and propagated acoustically or vibrationally for the induction into the brain, typically through the use of loudspeakers, earphones, or piezoelectric transducers. The modulated carriers may be transmitted directly in real time or may be conveniently recorded and stored on mechanical, magnetic, or optical media for delayed or repeated transmission to the listener. Listen carefully. Now, according to the literature put out by an organization called Silent Sounds Incorporated, you don't need to look them up on the internet, it is now possible using supercomputers to analyze human emotions, to put them into an EEG pattern and to replicate them, store them in these emotional signature clusters on another computer, and at will silently induce and change the emotional state of a human being. Now, you see, I'm just giving you the surface now because we haven't really gotten into where they're going to affect and how they're going to affect. They can broadcast an emotion to you in crowds. Change the chemical according to the signal that was broadcasted, and you begin to pick up the signal of somebody in fear, in anger, in jealousy. Now, according to the literature, put out by the organization called Silent Spring, they stated that it is interested only in the positive emotions. But why? See, this is not just a regular project by some independent scientists. This is a military project. Edward Tilden, president of Silent Sounds Incorporated, says in a letter about Squad dated back in December 13th, 1996, all schematics, however, have been classified by the U.S. government, and we are not allowed to reveal the exact details. We make tapes and CDs for the German government, even the former Soviet Union countries, all with the permission of the United States State Department. The system was used throughout Operation Desert Storm quite successfully. Now, you know when they talk that shit about Desert Storm, they were saying all the Iraqi soldiers saying, oh, please, it's good. Why? The graphic illustration called, check it out, in the graphics, they have a part called Induced Alpha to Theta Biofeedback. Now, theta waves come up on modulations, on oscillators, as the number 666. All right, now, the graphic illustration called Induced Alpha to Theta Biofeedback Cluster Movement, which accompanies the literature, is labeled AB 116-39495, unclassified, and is an output from the most versatile and most sensitive electroencephalographic machine. It has a gain capability of 200,000 as compared to other EEGs, which is only 50,000. It is software driven by the fastest computers using a noise nullifying technology similar to that used by nuclear submarines for detecting small objects underwater at extreme ranges. The purpose of all this high frequency, high technology is to plot and display, check it, is to plot and display a moving cluster of periodic brainwave signals. The illustration shows an EEG display from a single individual taken from left to right hemispheres simultaneously. The readout from the two sides of the brain appear to be quite different, but are in fact the same. Now, by using these computer-enhanced EEGs, scientists can identify and isolate the brain's low amplitude emotion signature clusters. I'm saying this because when I get to this part 2, you will understand that the technology exists and that this war is now metaphysical. It is not physical. We can get the gun, but they got other things metaphysically working that would make you even not be able to pull the trigger. Listen carefully. Low amplitude emotion signature clusters. They can synthesize them and store them in another computer. In other words, by studying the subtle characteristic brainwave patterns that occur when a subject experiences a particular emotion like fear, scientists have been able to identify the concomitant brainwave pattern and now can duplicate it. These clusters are then placed on a silent sound carrier frequency and then silently trigger the occurrence of the same basic emotion in another human being. There is a lot more involved here than just subliminal sound systems. There are numerous pattern technologies. Now check this. With that capability, they have numerous pattern technologies that could be piggybacking on that. There appear to be two methods of delivery with this system. One is direct microwave induction into the brain, subject of the brain, and microwave is what they're using for that particular thing you got hanging on your finger. It gets all your HBO into the brain of the subject, which is limited to short-range operations. The other, described above, is using ordinary radio and television carrier frequencies. In more conventional uses, the use of the silent sound subliminal system might utilize voice commands added to security systems. That's what that brother Brian Wrong that we introduced had the chips in his head, was hearing voices. They can cast voices and they can acoustically, through ambient technology, make you think you're thinking your thoughts. Now, in all the other videos, I keep telling you that the science of thought is necessary for you to understand, and why you have to understand your own spiritual self, because then you can recognize that you are not thinking thought, that thought is thinking you. And when thought starts thinking you, you start doing all the crazy shit that most of the niggas is out here doing. Most of the stuff that we as black men are doing. Most of the stuff that black women are doing. This is not an accident.